Okay, how much money my Steam game made with 750,000 downloads? Let's see how it goes.
Hey, I'm Alex, and just some background so you understand these stats. This is Paint Warfare. It's a free FPS game with about 750,000 downloads. And in the game, there's microtransactions, so you can buy DLC bundles from 2 to 5 US dollars,
Mm.
and coins which you can use to buy hats and skins for the guns in game. The reviews are also super positive. It's around 97% positive for this month, so I may be a bit biased, but it seems like players enjoyed the game in general. So, in consideration of all this, how much has the game made? So, over a total of 4 years of release, the game has made
Bruh.
4,672 US dollars.
Wait, net gross. What's what? How? Oof. Oof. Okay. Um, I think I heard a voice talking about this, bruh. But how? Like, that's insane.
Gross, and after local taxes like VAT, GST, and also returns, this comes out to
Okay, that's why.
3,812 US dollars. And then Steam takes a 30% cut,
Oh
so
no,
the total revenue I take home is
bruh.
2,668 US dollars.
Oh my goodness, chat. That's sad. That's very sad. Like, imagine you thinking you hit it off and then you got no love at all.
And 40 cents. Now, let's break this down. So the game was pay to play in the first year of release. It was around 5 US dollars,
Mm.
excluding sales. So during its pay to play stage, it sold $594, and now it's free to play, and it's making about 1,166 USD after all the cuts and fees per year. So now let's look at
Mm.
costs. So since it's a multiplayer game, I pay for servers, and that comes out to 100 US dollars per year.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then I also pay for a backend that handles microtransactions, so that's 96 US dollars per year.
96? What? It says free. Then there's the $8. Oh, professional. Is that why?
And I've been paying these both for about 2 years because the servers were free under a certain threshold and I didn't always have microtransactions. So the total for this is 392 US dollars. Now, in terms of more variable costs, I use a lot of assets to speed up development and make the game better. So my main weakness is 3D art, and assets are usually cheaper than hiring someone.
Hmm.
So on assets, I've spent
Oh,
$640 over the past 12 months.
oh my goodness. That means that's already $840, right? I think we're over. Where my video go?
And it's around the same for last year, maybe a bit less. But the thing with these assets is I can use them for future projects I make because they're constantly updated, like this water shader, anti-cheat stuff, prop packs. But in total on assets, I've spent around 1,000 US dollars over the entire development.
One.
So in total, my profit after all expenses is
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
1,276 US dollars, and there's
So, how long did he spend making this game and his profit? I mean, he does more than our game, which you guys could download free on itch.io. By the way, if you guys want to play Arya's Choice, a visual novel, so tell me. Let me know. Yeehaw.
also some negligible stuff like wire transfer fees. So yeah. Now, in terms
Uh,
of counting how much work I put into the game, Steam actually tracks the amount of time I spend in the game or developing the game in Unity with Steam Open. So that comes out to 2,512 hours, but
oh,
this doesn't count the time spent in Unity developing the game before I
oh my
released on Steam, or
goodness.
stuff like managing the community, making devlogs.
Oh.
So I guess more real estimation would be around 3,000 hours of dev time. So in total, this works out to around 42 cents per hour. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, chat. Listen, and these could either be a hit or a fail. Ah, man. Low key, though, I already experienced this myself, so. Because we put 9 months into our game and made no profit. So.
I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty sad. If I spent this time working at McDonald's, as minimum wage, which is $24.10
20.
Australian,
Oh, Australia.
or around 16 USD per hour,
Okay.
I would be sitting at like 48,000 USD as
Wow.
opposed to 1,276, which would definitely pay for like a badass first class trip to Europe or even solve world hunger. But working on Paint Warfare, despite not making a lot of money, has given me a crap ton of knowledge on what to do and what not to do when publishing games, and it's opened so many doors. With a large game like this under my belt, I can land pretty much any freelancing gig I want due to my experience and efficiency of dev. I've also had the opportunity to work for YouTubers like Blackthorn Fraud,
Ooh.
making a course for him, and I also got the privilege of taking part in some really cool challenges on YouTube due to my track record, so there definitely are a lot of indirect benefits. The assets, codebase, and experience on how to do stuff faster and how to not market can be taken into future projects, and I'm really hoping for the next game I work on, it'll be a lot more financially successful so I can make this into a career.
I wonder how much 3,000 hours is in the span of a year. Wow. Um, man, I mean, it did open him a lot of doors. So even if you don't have a successful game, quote unquote, in terms of profit, it could still lead to doing other gigs and whatnot. But like, I don't. I feel like you would still want your game to be the selling point. Like, oh my goodness, here's the game I made.
Now, would I recommend doing game development as a career? Yes, but I have some advice. Number one, don't make a free to play game because they're really hard to monetize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually the main advice, honestly. Now, in terms of some bonus stats that I would be super curious about if I were you, number one, do I make more sales from DLC or in game coin purchases? So, I've made around 3.6 times more from DLC, and this is probably because while coins can be earned through playing, the full body costumes that are DLCs are a lot cooler and more exclusive and can only be bought through paying.
Mm.
So I guess more people are willing to dish out $2 for them. And also partly because Steam advertises DLCs more, for example on the store page, so they're pretty visible and already in the player's mind. Number two, what are the most profitable countries or regions? So the pricing of stuff in Paint Warfare varies by region because people in different countries have different buying power. So I've discounted coins, for example, in Russia by 50%, I think by something like 10 to 15% in Poland, and a
Okay, so like, you have to discount it every time, or how does that work? Oh, so you can't just have like a base fee, or is that only could be for games?
lot more in Latin America. And this is really interesting because I have a lot of samples for Paint Warfare. So I localized the game into like 20 languages, maybe more, and the downloads are actually mostly from non-English speaking countries. So by downloads, 15.3% of players are from Russia, followed by 8% from the US. If you include other English speaking countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the UK, this combined is 10.3%, so less than Russian players. Then there's 8% from Brazil, 6.3 from China, 4.6 from Turkey, and 4.2 from Argentina. Around 20% is Latin America, and another key country, Poland,
20%.
is 3.5%. Now onto the revenue share.
Bro, like, that means, yo, Spanish. If I could make a visual novel in Spanish, that'd be lit. But like the way I translate is not gonna be the same as the way I speak. So it would not be a good translation. But to have a game, oh, Spanish, English. I feel like, especially for games like visual novels, I feel like having Spanish, English, and Japanese would be so lit. But it's tough.
So the US and Canada account for 45% of revenue, and if you include all English speaking countries, this is 52.7%. So they're a lot richer, and despite only being around 10% of downloads, they account for over half of the revenue. This also could be due to the translations being better, since I use Google Translate for the other translations, which could harm the experience. Then Poland.
He uses Google Translate. Kumar, you heard that? He uses Google Translate.
is the second largest for revenue at 7.5%, and then there's Germany at 6.4 and Russia at 5.7. And then all of Latin America accounts for around 3.4% of revenue, despite it being 20% of downloads. Now, I think coins are discounted by about like 5 times there, but they just have a lot less purchasing power, which is fair enough. So yeah, I hope you found this interesting. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe.
So, I don't know. For y'all watching, if you're a developer, what are your thoughts on Google Translate? You think that's cheating, or you think that's a smart idea? You think the rules are different when you're a game developer versus elsewhere? How you think that works? Because if you use Google Translate, isn't that technically a machine? I don't know. What are your thoughts down below? I'll love to hear it. With that being said, it's your girl JJ Beats. Signing out. Y'all have a good one. Bye bye.